Hey everyone, in this episode, we want to cover building a strong brand to drive business growth and property management. This is Brad Larson, founder of the Property Management Mastermind Facebook group with over 12,000 members, owner of RentWerx Property Management in San Antonio and Austin, managing over 1,100 homes, and your faithful podcast host. So in this episode, what we want to talk about is some of the power of the branding and the property management and how a strong brand can drive business growth. So I'll give you some history on the branding side. And this is a lesson learned, a do not do technique, one of those things, if I could go back in time, I would recorrect or correct in a different direction. And so when we first started the management side, let me go back even further. It's kind of a good story. So I was at Keller Williams and I was selling homes. It was 2006. I was, a platinum top 50 sales agent in San Antonio. And I go to my so-called team leader, who is a Keller Williams term for a fancy word for recruiter. And I sit down with this team leader one-on-one with this person. And, I think we closed roughly 50 transactions that year, pretty decent year for any sales agent, especially in 2006. And I'm like, I want to know, at this point it was 2009. And I sat down with the team leader. I said, I want to know how to really go big. How do I grow this? How do I blow it out of the water? How do I go to the next level? I want to be a full-time agent, et cetera, et cetera. And all the while I've been leasing homes. I've been doing leasing only. So I kind of got familiar with the property management system quite a bit. And this team leader, I'll never forget, was looking down at the phone, texting, stops, looks up at me and says, hire an assistant. And my eyes kind of glazed over. I'm like, that is your response? That is your answer to how to grow big? Hire an assistant? I mean, you figured I'd get a little bit more on an hour-long one-on-one. And it was right then and there. I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. These folks are not going to help me. And I left and I started my own brokerage. I started my own business called Larson Properties. Okay, this is the crux of the air. I started the business after my own name. Now, this is an episode about branding, and branding, everybody thinks about name first off. And it's a lot of different things. It's how you come across to your clients, what your Google rankings are, how do you drive business growth? What are your key elements in successful PM branding? There's lots of ways to talk through this, but branding right off the bat was, how do you name your company? And I don't think it really matters. I really don't. I don't think it matters in today's world. If you look professional, if it's a decent name, the considerations you want to put forward are, can you name it your market property management? I would have loved to name San Antonio Property Management, San Antonio Realtors or something like that, or anywhere along those lines that would give you a big presence in that market. Now, clearly, the big names are always going to be taken first because you can name it whatever you want, but if it doesn't tie into your URL, they don't go hand in hand. With branding and your URL, which is your website, rentwerx.com is our current branding. And to go back to that story, so I named it Larson Properties, dumbest mistake ever. However, at the time, it was just me, 0 homes under management. And that was my point of difference. So I'd walk into kitchen table presentations and say, yes, my name is Brad Larson and you're going to be working with me and I'm the only person you're ever going to talk to. And this is my mobile phone. You can call me 24/7, day or night. And that was part of my branding, is I'm the sole entrepreneur. I'm not a big company. I can give you the absolute best service, et cetera. And you look back at it and you kind of giggle about it, because as you grow a company, you're going to eventually grow out of that. It could be when you hit 50 homes, 100 homes, 200 homes, and you're going to look back at that and say, God, why did I give my mobile phone out to people? Why did I name the company after me? That's so arrogant. That's so narcissistic. It's just like, why did I do that? Now everybody wants to talk to me because my name's on the door. And so this would have been 6 or 7 years ago. We decided to rebrand our company from Larson Properties to RentWerx. And that was a whole drill of looking at different names and comparing them to the URL. And the way that RentWerx came across, matching the URL, it was just kind of like, okay, this is spot on. And we adopted it. And so rebranding was a big part of it. And I go back to building a strong brand to drive business growth and property management. Start with your market name, if at all possible. That's huge, because if you can get that tied into a URL, that could be pretty significant. One thing we did, it was called Larson Properties, but my URL was SATXPM, San Antonio, Texas, propertymanagement.com, SATXPM.com. You get that, right? I mean, that makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't tie into the name. And that was kind of silly at the time, but it's what we went with at the time. And so, right, wrong, or other, the brand you build may or may not matter to a certain extent. And so it's going to be up to you to build that brand. And it starts with your presence. It starts with your value proposition. It's going to go straight into what your Google reviews look like, what your Better Business Bureau reviews look like, what your signs look like. I mean, branding is not just your web name, your company name. Does your website look decent? Have you decided how to make that look professional? Your signs look decent. Are you using good lock boxes? Do you use company shirts? Do you have company vehicles? Do you have good looking business cards? You have good looking marketing materials? You have good looking forms. All of that is branding. Okay. It's not just like a company name. So why is it so important? Because it does make you look professional. And I'll give one example. I'm a firm believer in good signs. So front yard signs. Are they really important in today's leasing world? No, but I believe they're still important to attract other business. And more importantly, owners, even sellers, expect you to have a good looking yard sign. Do not be the business that rolls out there with a $5 chloroplast, little cheap, dingy little plastic sign with the little metal prongs that stick into the ground and flap in the wind. Do not be that company. Go get good signs. We've been using Oakley signs out of Florida. Again, Oakley signs out of Florida. I get nothing for that pitch, but I've been using them for 15 years. And they produce high quality, good metal signs that I cannot beat the pricing of. I would love to go local and get signs made locally, but I've shopped it 3 times. Every single time, even if I order in bulk of 50 or more, 100 signs or whatever, they're always more expensive than getting them through Oakley signs and shipping them here. So point of that is get good signs. Again, it goes back to your branding. Okay, let's go into a long-standing argument of what kind of a website do you want to get. There's templated websites, there's custom websites, and a lot of people have made a lot of different mistakes in this. And even me, like we use at RentWerx a WordPress site, but I'm a firm believer in the PMW website. So this is a pitch for PMW with RentVine. I really like what they do. It's a templated website with PMW. Now, let me give you a long story. So this is way back in the day, first started the business, and I had a PMW website. Again, I fully endorse PMW, but my website got invaded by Russian hackers. So it was full of Russian porn sites and Britney Spears. Don't ask me how. And so the URL got infected. And the only way to actually get out of that was we had to kill the URL, kill the website, and start from scratch. And we started from scratch with a WordPress site. Now, this was not RentVine's or PMW's fault. RentVine was not non-existent at that point. This was not PMW's fault. To their credit, they bent over backwards to help me. It was just something that, hey, I got hacked. I don't know how. No one knows how. I distinctly remember seeing the printout. Again, this is 10 years ago, of like 289 backlinks into the website that were just full of like hacking. It's just Russian crap hacking. Anyway, so I got torpedoed. I don't know how, but the point of it is PMW helped me out quite a bit. We ended up with a custom WordPress site that we built and that we modify on a weekly basis, and it ain't broken. So I ain't going to fix it. So I'm not going to go to a templated site of any maker because our custom WordPress site is working. And it's not something that you can just do overnight. There's so much content and so many video links in there. You couldn't reproduce it in any sort of easy effort. So we have what we have, and we're going to stick with it. However, if you're fairly new, I would encourage you to look into a PMW or a templated website. And I want to go into a post from the Facebook group, because again, this is part of what this podcast is going to be. We're going to be taking the highlighted posts out of our Facebook group of 12,000 plus members, the Property Management Mastermind Facebook group. And we're going to be talking through some of their questions and concerns and just kind of highlighting some ideas out there. So this is from Eric Josephson. We are looking at updating our website with an Appfolio built website. The examples they provide look great. The SEO they claim the site provides sounds great. If you had an Appfolio build your site, how has that experience been? Have they been responsive to you, what you want, and built what you wanted? Are you happy with the end result? Are there better options out there that provide a better end result? And this reached over 500 people. And also there were 7 strong comments, and some are good, some are bad. The Appfolio type of a website is basically a default web provider. And there's lots of different companies that do this. Rent Manager does it. Appfolio does it. I believe Buildium does it. They provide you some sort of website. And it's very generic, minimal, if any, SEO value. And the comments in this post echo that. And so what you're going to see is there's not a lot of opportunity to make tweaks or improvements. It's just kind of a generic, if you have no effort that you want to put forward, this is a good website to at least get you a web presence. And that could be a process that you want to take consideration as. And the other part of that is it went into, they have templates that are customizable. We have brokers as well as management, and they were able to accommodate quite easy. So that was a positive post review. And then several others jumped in there to talk about the PMW posts. Appfolio has a plugin for the listing only page. So I think that was a pretty good, interesting topic to touch on, because it goes into that branding that we're talking about with your website. Do you pick a custom WordPress type of a website and go to your local provider in your local city and spend $10,000 or $20,000 to do that? I don't know if that's worth it necessarily. There was also a vote for Upkeep Media in there. Amy Hansen voted, said the Appfolio was great, but we feel to go to Upkeep Media. And I've seen those guys before. They do a pretty good website. I've interviewed them on the podcast. I like what they do. So there might be a couple of vendors to check into, the PMW and Upkeep Media. And then of course you want to look at your provider as far as your property management software. I'm a big believer in Rentvine, and I think those two solutions, Rentvine and one of their websites, are going to do the absolute best you can get. I think that's something that you can grow into, because if you listen to episode 1, we talk about growth. Here's episode 2. They're tying into each other in branding. And the other part of that is we're going to make another mention here on another comment from the PM Mastermind group from Jeff Boyle. For those of you looking to grow your door count, where are you marketing and where are you finding success? 25 comments on here. I mean, it was getting blown up as far as people talking about where they're advertising and kind of where their success level has been. It's all over the place here. You have references to other consultants in and around the business with Better Who. They have a 5-star review roadmap. I thought that was kind of interesting. These comments on our Facebook group are absolute gold. And so I bring a couple of them up because, 1, I want to talk about them. And 2, I want to reference you there because that's the absolute greatest place to go find resources. You can do the search function and get into that. So where are you marketing your business to find success? Wow. Okay. That could be a long answer because it's not an easy thing to just say, I'm going to market my business to one particular source. Again, it goes back to branding. Again, it goes back to, do you look professional? Again, it goes back to, do you have good, solid reviews to get somebody to call you? Do you have a good value proposition? All these things tie into your branding, how you look on the Facebook world, how you look on the SEO world, the Google world. It's all combined together in a campaign. And so it's really not something that you can just, do this and you're going to learn more. And it's not as easy as that. And I would encourage everybody, if you have more questions on this, take a look at attending the RentWerx Mastermind. Go to rwmastermind.com. We have 2 distinct sessions coming up in 2024 in May and December. And that's where we mastermind as a group. So if you're looking for real solutions and want to prioritize your spend for 2024, look at attending one of these mastermind events. I guarantee you're going to get more out of this than you would with any other conference or any other consultancy out there on the market today. Look at that. Go to rwmastermind.com. I appreciate you listening to this episode. Stay tuned for more coming in the future. We have a good outline of what we're going to be doing with our topics we're going to be talking about. I'm taking sample snippets out of the Property Management Mastermind Facebook group on each episode to talk at length about it. And I'll give you my 2 cents worth on everything I can offer you. Appreciate you listening and stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you soon.